Sandeep Prabhu, please also turn on your camera. This is a class, not a recorded lecture, so we must have your cameras on, huh? Otherwise, how will I know who is here? Sandeep Prabhu, please turn on your camera. Thank you. Keep your camera on through the class. Thank you. Thank you very much. I need to be able to see you, see? I want to see you. I want to know, are you bored? Are you sleeping? Are you... Yes. Are you happy? Yes, I can only see that from your face. So please keep your cameras on. It's very important. Thank you. Nirupa Mataji, please keep your camera on. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so welcome back to our class. Whoever is hosting, could you please make me co-host so that I can do things that I might need to do? That would be great. Who is hosting? All right, okay, he's made me host now. So I can make Soren Prabhu now co-host so he can do what he needs to do. There we go, he's co-host, yes. And also this other one is now also co-host, okay. That means we have plenty of people who can jump in and take over if there's a technical difficulty. Okay, good. So welcome back. Nice to see you. What sort of week have you had? We last met on Thursday. How was your Friday? Suman Prabhu, how was Friday yesterday? Did you have a nice Friday? Friday, a good day, bad day?
Yeah. Friday, good day.
Good. Did you do anything nice, anything interesting?
Today?
No, on Friday. Today is only just starting.
Yes, Friday I'm really I was very busy. So I have taken classes in online in my group. Then okay. I also listen a Zoom class. So I'm really happy. In Friday, I engage all time I engage in my devotional life.
Okay, good. It's always nice to end the day in devotional life, eh? Yesterday I was trying to chant my rounds, but I had big fever yesterday, and I was finding it very difficult to focus on the Maha Mantra yesterday. I would chant one round and feel very sleepy, and then I would be thirsty, and then I would chant some more and I'd be sleepy, and I was Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna like this yesterday. It was very difficult to focus. And then I managed by I think 10 p.m. I managed my 16 rounds. And then 11 p.m. I went to sleep. And I slept very, very, very soundly. Today I feel okay, which is nice, but still little fever is there. So nice to see you all. On Thursday, I asked you all to think about two things. What did I ask you to think about ready for today? What did you have to do?
About you, I need 4 questions.
Yes.
You want to ask?
Yes, everybody should ask me at least 3 questions. Yes?
3 questions.
3 questions. And what about you? What about you? What were you supposed to bring ready for yourselves? Two things. Yes? You have to tell us 2 things about you so that we can all get to know each other. Next week, we're going to be splitting into 2 groups. Okay, so Suman Prabhu, you can't hear me? Some problem?
No.
Okay. All right. So next week, we're going to split the class into 2 small groups. The advanced group and the beginners group, so that I can give you better attention, at your level. Otherwise, the advanced people will get very bored, and the beginning stage people will find it difficult to keep up. Okay, so this way,
the beginning stage. I'm a beginner.
You're a beginner. I don't think you're a beginner, but if you want to be with the beginners, we can be with the beginners. Remember, I have heard you speak live, so okay, all right. And the classes will be on the same day, but the times will be slightly different for each group because we can't do them at the same time. We're going to be following the Cambridge syllabus, Cambridge University's syllabus for English language for those from India. So it's specific to you guys, okay? And it involves also learning a little bit about Western culture as well as talking about Indian culture. So it's quite an interesting syllabus. I teach for Cambridge University in London. So I teach all levels of different types of English, including business and legal English. Okay, so for today, you are going to ask me, all of you, 3 questions. Okay, so I hope you're ready. I already have 2 people who are very ready with their hands up. Let's start with the Matajis. Rikia Mataji, you want to ask me? Now I'm very nervous. What are you going to ask?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhu, I have 3 questions for you.
Okay.
My first question is, did you go to Sridham Vrindavan?
Did I go to have I been to Shri Vrindavan Dham? So you asked the question like this. I'm going to make some corrections as we speak so that you can understand, yes? So just bear with me. You asked me, did you go to Shri Vrindavan Dham? Okay. The correct way to ask the question is, have you ever been to Shri?
You would request them to please mute themselves.
Yes, Vrindavan Dham. I think somebody has got a mic on that's very disturbing. I'm trying to figure out who it is. I don't know who that is. Yeah, okay. All right, no worries. So, Mataji, can you repeat this question? How you should say it correctly?
Yes. Have you ever been to Sridham Vrindavan?
Yes, I have. I go to Shri Vrindavan Dham every year, usually 3 times a year. I usually go in March, usually just before Gaur Purnima. Then I usually go in August for Janmashtami. I usually spend in Vrindavan Dham. And I'm always there for 2 weeks during Kartik. This year, I will not go in August for Janmashtami, and I will not go in Kartik because next week I have to fly to London. I have to go back to Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Haribol.
Haribol, thank you.
My second question is, which book of Srila Prabhupada is most interesting for you?
Okay. So here you can ask the question this way. Which of Srila Prabhupada's books is I would say like this, which of Srila Prabhupada's books is your favorite? No, which of Srila Prabhupada's books do
most
you
interesting?
Yes, find most interesting. Okay. Very nice question, this. I have to say that of all of Srila Prabhupada's books that I have read, and I have not read all of them, I have read many. My favorite book is his translation and his purport to the Sri Ishopanishad. Because he has explained a very complicated scripture very beautifully. It's also the subject I like teaching the most, is the Sri Ishopanishad.
Horrible. My third question is, Prabhu,
Yes.
that have you seen Abhay Charan?
Have I seen? Okay, yeah, you asked the question directly. Have you seen Abhay Charan, the series? Yes, the serial. I have seen it, and I think I've seen it twice actually because I enjoyed it so much.
Horrible.
Haribol, thank you very much, Mataji, for your questions. Let's go to Suman Krishna Prabhu. What are your questions, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Give me an opportunity to ask some questions. The first question is, Prabhuji, I want to know from you, how was your previous life when you was not involved in devotional life?
Okay, so that was not my previous life. I do not remember my previous life. Just like I don't know my next life. So that wasn't my previous life. You could say it was my previous life, but it wasn't my previous life. So you could ask me like this: what was your life like before coming to Krishna consciousness? Yes. Would you like to repeat what you see on the screen?
For the next question.
No, I haven't answered yet. I haven't answered the question. Can you just repeat? I've corrected your question. That you should ask, what was your life like before coming to Krishna consciousness? So I want you to say the question properly now.
What was your life like before coming to Krishna consciousness?
That's it, exactly. So, Suman Krishna Prabhu, before coming to Krishna consciousness, I was working in England, in the capital city in London. And I was not happy. I had a very good job. I was earning very good money, but I was not happy. I'm not married. That wasn't the problem. It was just that something in my life was missing. But my life changed completely when I came to Krishna consciousness. So although I had a good job and earning good money, I have a nice family at home, but I was unhappy. It was dark. There's a big story behind it, which I won't tell you today, maybe another day. But it was an unhappy life for many years. And then I found Krishna consciousness and everything changed. Okay, what's your next question?
Yes. Next question is, Prabhuji, what is the difference in devotional life and before life?
Okay. Okay, a similar question. Okay, what I can say here, okay, how is devotional life different to your life before KC? Okay, can you repeat this question?
How is devotional life different to your life before Krishna consciousness?
Okay, so devotional life, you already understood, has brought some happiness to my life. It's changed my life. But devotional life also allowed me to give up eating meat, fish, eggs. Devotional life helped me to stop smoking and drinking alcohol. And devotional life also helped me to make better friendships. because I have more association with devotees. But even with non-devotees, the friendships are much deeper, not superficial. These are big words. We'll learn about them later. Also, devotional life allowed me to regulate my lifestyle. Waking up early in the morning, forming deity worship here at home, taking initiation, learning how to honor the wonderful gift of prasadam. All these things are taken for granted before devotional life. And life is good now. Before devotional life, it was fast life. Get up in the morning, you quickly eat some breakfast, you get on the train, you have to rush to work, you work for 8-10 hours a day. Then you go to the bar and you drink alcohol with your work friends, then you go home and you don't feel nice. The devotional life has changed all that. It's brought regulation. It's allowed me to understand Krishna's wonderful gifts that he has given us, that we can offer back to him when we prepare bhoga and then receive prasadam. Yes? It has helped me to understand the value of little things like water, before we took for granted. Yes? And it has allowed me also to come to India and experience the wonderful joys of, this beautiful country. So there's a little something. Okay. And your last question.
Last question is, are you happy in your devotional life?
Yes. Am I happy in my devotional life? I would say I'm very, very happy. I'm very happy. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Let's go to one more Mataji now. Let's go to Tanushri Mataji. Hare Krishna.
So I have 3 questions, but already one question is asked by another devotees. Now, my question is, how you came in Krishna consciousness?
How?
How you came in Krishna consciousness?
How did you? Okay, so here is the correct way of asking the question. How did you come to Krishna consciousness? Yeah. So just repeat the question.
How did you come to Krishna consciousness?
That's it. Good. How did I come to Krishna consciousness? So I used to work for a film company, making films and TV shows. And I was the head of the company at one time. And one day, Mataji, thank you. One day, one cameraman who worked for us, he was American. He came to the office and he said, "Boss, I need to go back to United States, to Los Angeles." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because my father has left his body." So I did not understand immediately what left his body means. Anyway, eventually I understood, okay, he means his father has passed away. So I said, okay, no problem. You do what you have to do. Will you be coming back? And he said, yes. Then he went to America. And 6 weeks later, he came back to the office in London where we were working. And he came into the office one Wednesday afternoon. And he was dressed in dhoti, kurta, tilak, big neck beads. And I'm looking and I'm thinking, what happened in 6 weeks? Why are you dressed like this? And he said, it didn't happen in 6 weeks. He said, I was brought up like this. My father was a disciple of a man called Srila Prabhupada, who brought the Hare Krishna movement to the West. And I was a little bit shocked because I am, an Indian boy, Gujarati origin, and he is more into the devotional practice of the worship and chanting of the Lord's holy names than I was. And he's vegetarian. I know this from our office days. He would not come to the office feast ever at Christmas or any other time because he did not eat meat or garlic or onions or drink alcohol, and everybody else did. So I was a little bit shocked and also amazed. So I asked him, can you please tell me more? And he called me, he said, yes, Prabhuji, yes, I will tell you more. And I realized he's just called me Prabhuji. This is like an Indian word. He is behaving more like an Indian than I am. Sorry, I know Krishna consciousness is not just about Indian people, but at the time, that's how I felt. And I thought I didn't understand this, but I was very amazed. So we went to lunch, and we went to lunch one day at the Soho Temple, the Central London Temple, to the Govinda's restaurant, which is where he used to sometimes like to take lunch. And because it's the temple place, you know, so there we sat and he told me his wonderful story about growing up in the Gurukul in Sri Vrindavan Dham, which is where he went to school as a young boy, you know, and how now he was living in London doing his job and he was still visiting the temple. And I was amazed. And then he showed me some pictures on his phone of his children, you know, and his children were going to the Bhaktivedanta Manna Gurukul. And they look so nice with their devotional clothing and their tilak and their shikha and I thought this is, you know, this is the way things should be. So this inspired me. It made me feel like I wanted to know more. And this is where my journey to Krishna consciousness started. This was the beginning. There's more, but then that's a long story. So I'll let you go to your next question.
Okay, Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Is there any place where you don't want to go again?
Is there any place I do not want to go again? I have been to many countries in the world. I don't think there's anywhere I would not go again. Because every place I have been, I have learned something. And learning things has always been important to me. Learning things about the way the world works and learning things about the way other people live, other people's cultures, helps me to relate. So I don't think there's anywhere I would not go again. I think I would probably go. Most places I have been, I would probably go again. I can't think of anywhere I wouldn't go again. And your last question, Mataji.
So I already asked that. So
okay, all right. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we still have some hands raised here. Let's go to Soren Prabhu. What's your question?
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandavat Pranams, Prabhu.
Prabhu, I have two questions.
Okay.
Okay. So, which is the most memorable moment of your life before Krishna consciousness?
Which is the most memorable moment of my life before Krishna consciousness? That's an easy question to answer. Back, it would have been in 1986. In 1986, I had become a member of the Catholic Church. I was a Christian monk. And it was, I can't remember the exact date now, but it was sometime in June. And it was June of 1980. I think it was the 9th of June, but I can't remember for sure now. But in June of 1986, oh, no, actually, it wasn't June, it was March. It was March, and I think it might have been the 26th of March in June of 1986. It's coming back now. Yes, 26th of March, 1986. I was given a new name. I was made Brother Paul of the Order of St. Benedict. And that was a very memorable moment for my life because from that day and for the next 10 years, I was in spiritual life, but in the Christian church. And those days were very happy days. And that was the beginning of my big spiritual journey, really. That's when it all started.
Thank you, Fauji.
Thank you.
One more.
Could you please
Yes, go on.
Give me some, Krishna.
Yes.
Fauji, give me some advice that I can live devotional life in a beautiful way.
You want me to give you some advice about how you can live, or do you want to give me some advice? I would like some advice. Okay. I think the biggest thing for us is always to remember Krishna and keep him at the center of our lives. This was Srila Prabhupada's biggest instruction to us all, that anything we do, we should do it for the pleasure of Krishna. Because if we do everything to please Krishna, then everything will be fine for us, because we are constantly remembering Krishna. I think that, and the fact that if we keep chanting and keep remembering his name, then our devotional life can become very perfect. What we shouldn't do is judge others. Everybody makes mistakes. Devotees make mistakes, non-devotees make mistakes. Devotees say things, good things and bad things, and so do other people. That's what it means to be human. Okay, and we shouldn't judge. So instead of judging others, we should just remember our relationship with Krishna, and that everybody has their own relationship with Krishna. Keep him at the center of our lives and keep remembering his holy name. Offer everything that we do and everything that we eat, to the Lord. And I think it will lead us for a very happy Krishna conscious life.
Thank you, Fauji.
Thank you. You have one more question?
No, Fauji, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Prabhuji, could you please write the question on screen in the right way so that we can?
Which one, about devotional life?
No, the Suren Prabhu, he was asking you some few questions.
He actually he put his questions correctly. He put his questions. That's why I didn't put them on. I'll only put them on the screen if I need to do some adjustment. But he asked very nicely. Okay. Sonali Mataji. Mataji, you need to unmute your microphone. That's it.
Sorry, Prabhu.
That's okay.
What is the most interesting and hardest part of teaching?
What is the most, that's a good question, and also asked very nicely. What is the most interesting and not hardest here? We can say, what is the most
interesting and hardest part of teaching?
Interesting and difficult.
Yes, hardest part.
Yeah. Okay, so you can, it's two questions in one. So you can say, what is the most interesting? Let me think about this. What do you find to be the most interesting aspect and interesting, you can say actually interesting and difficult aspects of teaching? Okay, can you just repeat that question as you see it on the screen?
What do you find to be most interesting and difficult aspect of teaching?
Yes, that's it. That's a nice way of asking the question then. Let's do it in two stages. Let's take the most interesting first. For me, the most interesting part of teaching is the interaction with the students. You see, do you notice at the beginning of this class, I asked everybody to switch their cameras on? Yeah. It's important for me to feel that you are understanding and enjoying the lesson. So the interaction I need to be able to see your face. I need you to be able to see my expressions. Because when we're in a live classroom, we communicate not just with speech, but with our hands and body action, body language, and also with our facial expressions. So the student interaction, and to see that students are enjoying the lesson, probably is the most interesting part of teaching for me. I guess the interesting part of it comes from actually thinking about how to plan a lesson. Because I have to put some thought first into, will you enjoy what you're going to learn? So the planning of it is interesting. And then the execution. Does it work in the classroom? Okay. That's the most interesting part. Because when I see that people are happy, then I become more enthusiastic. And that helps me to teach better. And also, it ensures that your learning experience is a good one. And that's important. As for the most difficult aspects, the most difficult aspects, I guess, right now, there's a good example. It's much easier to teach in a classroom live when everybody's in the same room. It's much more difficult to teach online. And teaching online, sometimes there are challenges with technology. There are challenges with people being able to hear clearly. Maybe we do not understand each other properly. There are these kind of challenges. In the classroom, we have so much more opportunity to do things live using props and role play and all sorts of different, teaching methods. So from that point of view, now, in today's time, when we all have to do everything online, that's difficult. Yes. The other difficult aspect of teaching is when a lesson doesn't work, when a lesson goes wrong and people don't understand what you're trying to say. That becomes very difficult. Online or offline, it's just the same. I think that would be it for me. What's your next question, Mataji?
Okay. What influenced you to become a Krishna's devotee?
Okay.
Lord Krishna's devotee.
Okay.
What influenced you to become a Lord Krishna's devotee?
Okay, would you like to say the question as you see it on the screen now?
What motivated you to become a devotee of Lord Krishna?
Okay, so partly, as I say, it was the story that I told you, that, one boy in my workplace. But then the story continues in that I started to go to the temple, my local temple, Bhaktivedanta Manor. I started to go once a week, and I used to stand at the back of the temple hall. And then I started to go more regularly, and I made friends in the temple. Those friendships, I realized very early on, were what we refer to in Krishna consciousness as association. So good association, keeping constantly in touch with devotees, and also reading Srila Prabhupada's books, hearing from senior devotees who have spent their life, following Srila Prabhupada as a devotee of Lord Krishna and, following his instructions. These things inspired me and they kept me fixed in my Krishna conscious life. Okay. And any more questions, Mataji? Yes,
one more question.
Yes.
How would you preach in London if any day you are asked to do that from Mayapur?
Okay. How do I preach from? Okay.
How would you preach in London if any day you are asked to do that from Mayapur?
Okay. How do you preach? You could ask this simply. So I'm asked to do this quite a lot. And thankfully, Zoom allows me to do that. because I can talk to any devotee anywhere around the world using this. This is one of the advantages of technology, that we can actually use technology in Krishna's service. So I'm very much able to preach from Mayapur. And I do, at least once or twice a week, have a class that I teach every week in London. And it's not an English class, it's a spiritual class. Usually these days it's either Bhagavad Gita or Sri Upanishad or some other scripture or one of the other Upanishads that I also teach. So using technology is the easy answer to that. I can do anything from anywhere in the world, in any country. Krishna makes everything possible for his devotees. That's all I can say. If we have a desire to preach, we will preach. It's quite simple. Krishna will see that desire. He'll make it possible.
No more questions, Prabhu.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Sonali
Thank
Mataji.
you. Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Debabrata Prabhu. You need to unmute your microphone, Prabhuji.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Dandavat Prabhu.
My first question is to you. Which school did you read?
Which school did I read, or what subject did I read?
I want to know from you, which school have you read?
Okay, which school did I reach? Not sure I understand the question, but I think you're asking, did I
your
go
schooling, actually your schooling.
Okay, you can say, can I ask you about your schooling? Okay?
Yes, bro. Can I ask you about your schooling?
Yes, you can. So I went to school first in London. I went to a Catholic church school because there was no choice. I had to go to a Christian school. I was growing up in London as a boy. So I went to a church school, and then I went to another church school for my higher education. And I did what they call ordinary level exams and advanced level examinations. They call them O and A levels in the UK. Then I joined a monastery, and in the monastery, one has to do a qualification if one hasn't been to university. And I took accountancy as my second subject. I did a degree in accountancy.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. And what's your next question?
My next question is there any reason for your not marrying, Prabhu?
Yeah. Is there any reason you did not marry? Would you like to ask that question?
Yes. Is there any reason you did not marry?
Okay. There is. As I explained, in 1986, I became a Catholic monk. When I became a Catholic monk, I had to take 3 vows. One was poverty, one was chastity or celibacy, and one was obediency. Obviously, when I left the church, I had to earn some money, so I couldn't keep the vow of poverty. As for obediency, I wasn't really following very much after I left the church because I was going to work and doing all these bad things like smoking and drinking. But I did keep my vow of celibacy. And I'm glad that I did my vow of celibacy, because when I came to Krishna consciousness at the age of 48, for me, it was much easier to follow a regulated lifestyle.
Yes, Prabhu.
Therefore, it became easy to stay focused on my devotional life. Yes?
Okay, Prabhu. Now, my last question is, Prabhu, which station is nearer to your London house?
Which station?
Yes.
As in train station?
Train station.
Train station. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Train station. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, bro. Which train station is nearest to your home in London?
Okay, nearest to my home in London, the nearest major train station would be London Euston. It's a mainline station, train station. From there, you can get trains to many different parts of the UK. So that's the nearest train station, mainline train station to my home.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you,
right.
Prabhu.
Thank you very much. Okay, and then let's go to Pranati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Babu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Do you have any important and indelible day with your Gurudev?
Do I have any?
Do you have any important and indelible day with your Gurudev?
Have I had any important indelible days? I didn't understand the question.
Do you have any important day with your Gurudev?
Oh, have I ever had an important day with my Gurudev? The most important day, let me just write that down. Okay, would you like to repeat that question as you see it on the screen?
Have you ever had an important day with your Gurudev?
Yes, one big day. And that day was the 27th of March, 2017. That day was the most important day that I have ever had with my Gurudev, because it was on that day he gave me the name Krishna Keshav Das. And I got my initiation. So that was the most important day that I ever had with my Gurudev. Next question, Mataji. You're muted. Your mic is muted.
Sorry.
That's
so,
okay.
do you have any memorable incident related to Krishna?
Do I have any memorable incidents related to Krishna consciousness? I guess apart from my initiation day, which was the most memorable day that stays in my mind at the moment, the other day that was very important to me was in September of 2015, when I first came to Sri Mayapur Dham. And I came here, it was the end of September 2015, I think. And I was here for 2 weeks. And then I was enjoying Mayapur very much. I was feeling something very nice here. Then Kartik started. And I went for one evening darshan, the candle, the candle lamp offering, the lamp offering during Kartik. And I was absolutely amazed at how beautiful the kirtan was, how wonderful the devotees were, the devotion that I felt in the temple room, everybody was there. It was probably one of the most memorable experiences that I have. It was very simple, but I'd never seen anything so beautiful in many years. The deities looked absolutely spectacular. The devotees looked wonderful. The temple room looked beautiful. The kirtan was wonderful. And the hairs on my arms were standing on end because the whole experience was so moving. So that was probably the next most important day, memorable day.
Thank you. So my last question is, when you go to Mayapur and visit the restaurant for Prashadam, which dish is your favorite one?
When I go to Mayapur restaurants for prasadam, which dishes are my favorite? There's only one answer to that, I'm afraid, and it has to be pizza. I'm sorry. We have a very nice Govinda's pizzeria here in Mayapur. If you've been to Mayapur, you're from Kolkata, I see. Have you been to Mayapur before?
Yes.
Yes. So if you come to Mayapur on a Friday and Saturday, they serve very nice pizza upstairs in Govinda's, and it's very good. So yes, that's probably my favorite.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Pranati Mataji. Okay, Sandeep Prabhu.
Yes, Lord Gandhavat. Hare Krishna, can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay. So my first question is that why did you came to London in spite of being an Indian?
Why did I go to London in spite of being an Indian?
Yeah.
Now, there's a very long story. So my grandparents, my father's mother and father, were actually taken to Africa by the British to work there. Then my father was born there in Africa. And later on, the British left Africa. And the Indians who were in Africa were stranded because they had been taken by the British. Their nationality was forcibly changed from Indian to African. So they had to have a Ugandan passport. So India would not have them back. So then my grandparents stayed in Africa because it's a beautiful country. And they carried on working there when the British left. And my father was sent to London to go to school because he could not come to India to go to school. Later on, my father met my mother and they got married. And my mother also went to Africa because my father couldn't go anywhere. My father couldn't come to India. So my mother had to come from India, from Rajkot in the Gujarat, to Africa. I was born in Africa. Then in 1972, a dictatorship took power in Uganda. The dictator's name was Idi Amin. He was a general in the army. He killed maybe 3 lakh people. Some Indians, some Africans, some other people. And we had no choice but to run from that country.
Yes.
When we ran, we fled the country. Unfortunately, India would not take us as refugees. They refused us entry. And we were sent from the Indian airport where we landed, we were put back on a plane to London. So we had no choice. Okay, we weren't allowed to stay here. So we had no choice and we ended up in London where the British took us as refugees. That's why I ended up in London. And from there, we had no choice but to stay there and go to school. And that's how I grew up in London.
Okay. So my second question is, did you face any kind of insults in your decision to come to Krishna consciousness?
Did I take any kind of?
Did you face any kind of insult, or did you have any man insulted you that you have come to Krishna consciousness for that?
No, I didn't face any kind of problem at all with joining Krishna consciousness, preaching Krishna consciousness. Even when we go out on Harinam in the streets of London, we don't get any problems. People generally tend to want to know more about Krishna consciousness when they see the devotees on the streets in London. So no insults, yes.
And my last question is that which form of the Lord Krishna is favorite to you?
Which form of the Lord Krishna is favorite to me? Well, Krishna is Krishna. So any of his forms, of course, whichever form he decides to take, are always going to be very dear to me. But I guess that the closest that I have an affinity for is Lord Sri Nrsingadev, because of the way he protected his devotee. Yes, the way he protected his devotee Prahlad is a very moving story, you know. And I have a big, in my flat here in Mayapur, I have a big picture of Lord Nrsingadev in the hallway. I'll show you next lesson. It will be on the screen. And you know, when I come in through the door, he's the first thing I see. What's your favorite? What's your favorite?
Yeah, my favorite is Lord Nrsingadev.
Okay, very nice. Very nice. Thank you very much. Okay, anybody else got any questions? I think everybody's asked now. Okay, Rikiya Mataji. Yes, go on, Rikiya Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine, Mataji.
Prabhuji, can I request you to tell me a Bhagavad Gita slok?
Can I tell you
which your favorite slok?
Which is my favorite shlok? Oh, okay. There are so many. Actually, there are very many shlokas in the Bhagavad Gita that I really like. Okay, but there is one. There is one which I'm going to share with you. Oh, I've got a problem with my computer. Just bear with me 1 second. It's in chapter 18, okay?
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, yes. So in chapter 18, there is one verse that Krishna speaks to Arjun. It's 18.65. Manmanabhava madbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru mam evasyasi satyam te pratijani priyosime. This shloka, he says, always think of me. Become my devotee. Worship me and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. Very nice instruction there. Very nice way to become a devotee. But the most important thing he says in that verse that really means a lot to me is that he ends that verse, okay, by saying to Krishna, to Arjun, sorry, yes, that pratijane priyosime, yes, that I promise you this because you are my very dear friend. He's promising, he's not just saying I'm God. He's being, you can feel his kindness there. I am your friend. If God is telling me he is my friend, then who am I to deny him? I would say that's probably my favorite verse. There are many others that I really like, but that's my actual favorite.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think that brings us now to, the end of today's class. I did want to ask you about yourselves, so maybe next lesson some of you can bring 2 things about you. I've told you a lot about me. Now you can tell me a little bit about you. I think that would be really nice. Suman Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Give me an opportunity to say 2 words or 2 sentences about me.
Okay.
So first of all, when I had no engaged in devotional life, I became very frustrated when I faced some small or little problem. But after when I started my devotional life, any kind of suffer cannot touch me, because when suffer is come, I think that this is Krishna's plan. So now I I want to pray. So now, please everybody pray for me so that I engages my whole life in devotional service. Hare Krishna.
Very nice. Thank you very much for sharing that. Yes, I think we can all face problems, can't we? Sometimes in devotional life and get frustrated. But it's nice that you are thinking, outside of that, beyond that, that these small problems are things that can be dealt with. And to seek the prayers of devotees, of course, is also very important, because we should always all be wishing each other well in our journey in life and in Krishna consciousness. So thank you for sharing that, Sumon Prabhu. It's very kind. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to stop there for today, because I have another class going to start in 15 minutes, and I need a little while in between to set up the class. So nice to see you today. Thank you all for participating. It's important that, during these classes, we communicate, we participate, everybody joins in. The class is much more fun when we do that. So we will have one more class together like this on Monday. And then on Wednesday, we will talk about splitting into 2 groups. And then next Saturday, I think I won't be with you because I'm going to be flying to London. And the following Monday, I'll see you. So anyway, we'll talk about that on Monday. All right, have a lovely day, lovely weekend, and enjoy whatever you're going to do today and tomorrow, and have a wonderfully Krishna conscious filled weekend. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Prabhuji.
Yes.
Today the new joiner is Subrajit Mandal Prabhu. So
okay.
For introduction, if you want him.
Okay, welcome Subra Jyoti Mandal Prabhu. Nice to see you. Prabhuji, please turn your camera on so we can see you. Hare Krishna. Yes, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. So Prabhuji, our next class is on Monday, sorry. So we will see you all on Monday. Okay. All right. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Goodbye.
Hare Krishna. Happy Jhulan Purnima, Prabhu.
Yes.
Happy Jhulan Purnima.
Oh yes, thank you very much, and to you too. Haribol.
Haribol.
Haribol.